Even Floyd, like when you make yourself like we got issues over anger, he's still the best fighter out there. Until somebody beat him, that's who he is.
Do you think he should step back in the ring?
I think he got to right now because the money gone.
So the money's really gone?
Yeah, that's what you think. It's fight, get the money, spend the money, fight.
All that money?
And it took been 2 years.
So is it just his overhead is so high on a day-to-day, month-to-month? Like
I don't even want to talk about it. Like with the lifestyle, that money's gone, trust me. Now it's like, you call him, he'll be at your local hosting in a nightclub because you need that action right now.
Wow.
Are Floyd's comments potentially in breach of contract? He could blow the whole fight up and never fight, and also have taken a cash advance on the fight he may not ever have. He's broke! I'm sorry. It's just the truth. Floyd is so badly hurting for money that this is the stuff he's doing. Knowingly signing contracts for a pro fight just to go and publicly undermine it while taking a cash advance. Essentially going, cool, I need that money now. Who cares about that?
Floyd Mayweather is now facing serious financial pressure, as reports claim the IRS has placed a lien on his assets over unpaid taxes totaling around $7.3 million from 2018 to 2023.
Mayweather is being targeted by the IRS over unpaid taxes, with some of his properties and assets being held on lien until the full balance is paid off. And if not, said assets will be fully taken away. This report Business Insider, but is also now being reported by Ring Magazine, in which they reveal IRS has filed a lien versus Mayweather's Vegas, currently putting a hold on Mayweather's Vegas property due to unpaid taxes from 2018 and 2023 that have now ballooned $7.3 million.
This isn't just a small issue being blown out of proportion. The government has officially stepped in, freezing property in Las Vegas until the debt is fully cleared. If it isn't, those assets could eventually be seized.
You think he's talking this trash because he wants a rematch? You think he actually wants
Absolutely.
You think he wants a rematch?
Look, another reason why he's crawled out of his rock, he needs money.
You think he needs money?
Absolutely.
He's always flossy.
It's absolutely, he needs money.
You think he's going
Once
broke?
Again, come on. Fighters like that always go broke.
He's always spending, so I guess.
Absolutely. Look, he's not fighting anymore, so that big money's not coming in. Look at what happened to Mike Tyson. He made what, $500 million?
Right.
You think you can't spend $500 million overnight? Absolutely.
You can't.
What makes the situation even more concerning is the timing, as this comes while Mayweather is already surrounded by questions about his business dealings.
It's like, Mayweather's broke. I said, no. He's like, no, really. Mayweather's broke. Now, I don't know if it's true.
Right.
This is what this guy told me. I'm like, how could he be broke? He's like, yo, he spends like crazy.
Yeah.
Spends like
I
crazy.
mean, it only could go but so long. I mean, and you're not fighting.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Mayweather even doing any goofy like
But
that.
but you would think that your investments would continue to grow.
Right.
As long as you keep your spending.
While Floyd publicly described the rematch as an exhibition, reports suggest he may have signed for a professional bout instead, which could lead to legal issues if the contracts are not honored. At the same time, claims have surfaced that he used the same fight contract as collateral for a loan, raising even more concerns about his financial stability behind the scenes.
Is that what he's feeling? But he signed a real fight.
So it's for sure?
Yes, the contract that we signed is a real fight.
Real fight, okay. Yeah, because I know he said...
I wouldn't fight an exhibition.
No exhibition. It's either real fight or nothing.
Yeah, it's a real fight, yeah.
Is Spears still in Las Vegas?
That's the contract that he signed. I mean.
Yeah. Okay, so it's still happening then?
He has to remember that.
But it's still on? It's still happening?
Oh yeah, we did sign the contract already, so there's no reason why,
Why wouldn't?
Why wouldn't, yeah.
On top of that, multiple Mayweather gyms have reportedly shut down due to unpaid staff and rent-related issues, with Pacquiao even stepping in to acquire and rebrand one of the locations. Employees allegedly walked out after not receiving payment, adding another layer of concern about how the operations were being managed. Now, several parties, including the IRS, business partners, and investors, are all reportedly looking for answers at the same time. For someone who built his entire image around wealth and financial control, this situation directly challenges that reputation.
Everybody. I boxed everybody, and it's so crazy. Like, I had a lot of great days, I had a lot of bad days in the gym. but I tell them I never have bad paydays.
Dimitri Salita told me a story that one time a big heavyweight, a known heavyweight, challenged you. You told Leonard to go get your bag and you dropped him with the body shot.
In a boxing gym, it don't count. You can have good days, you can have bad days. You know, a lot of times guys do good in the gym. You know, they be happy. They feel like if you done good with Floyd Mayweather in the gym, oh, I want a world title, Well, you got to really look at this now. Slow down. You go home to an apartment. You know, I go home to a palace. There's a difference.
Now, Floyd,
you know, when you say your name, when they say these fighters' names, they say thousands and millions. When you say Money Mayweather, you say billions.
Silence from Mayweather and his legal team only adds to the uncertainty, as there are many moving parts involved and none of them appear simple. Whether this situation is resolved quietly or develops into a larger legal and financial battle, it is clear that this is one of the most serious challenges Mayweather has faced outside the ring.
Money to the IRS. How much does he owe?
It's in the $20+ million range.
It's a lot of money, man.
But it's not something that he's been, it's not like deception.
No.
It's just neglect to
it's
pay.
Neglect. And it's also like, I think, and there is like a truth to this, he makes so much money. There's probably a point when they're like, hey, it's time to pay your taxes. And you go like, all right, here's a check for $25 million. That's an incredible amount of money. And then they go, that's true, but you owe 50 more. And he's just like, that can't be right. I've given you $25 million.
Yeah, over 100 luxury cars from the same dealer and always pays in cash.
He has $15 million worth of cars.
Congrats.
And just when everything surrounding Floyd begins to look like a paperwork storm waiting to explode, Timothy Bradley steps in and, instead of panicking, basically says, hold on, this might just be business moving exactly the way Floyd wants it to. Bradley is not blindly defending the situation, but rather breaking it down from a fighter's perspective, explaining that those advanced payments could actually represent leverage if they were structured correctly. He also hints that if Floyd secured money up front and locked the deal in a certain way, then shifting the event from a real fight to an exhibition may not be chaos at all. It could simply be strategy.
Mayweather did that. But you can. You can put a non-refundable attachment on this and be like, all right, hey, I need an advancement for training, or whatever, for training expenses. And if they agree to say yeah, and he put in a contract that is non-refundable, it's free.
And I'm sitting here thinking that sounds like the most Floyd thing possible. While everyone else sees confusion, Bradley seems to believe Floyd might already be 10 steps ahead, handling obligations, easing financial pressure, and then adjusting the terms to fit his current reality as a 50-year-old fighter who is not trying to go to war unless it makes perfect sense. But this is where things get complicated, because even Bradley admits, if you sign for a real fight, then you sign for a real fight. You cannot simply rewrite the deal midway through the story without consequences.
Basically free money. So we know, Mayweather was, it's been reported, I should say, allegedly, that, he's been, a little upside down on some of his taxes and some of his properties. I guess he needs to come back and fight and take care of that. Well, he got some cheese from...
So now you have this tension where Floyd could be operating like a businessman, while the system around him still expects him to act like a fighter. That clash is exactly where things can become messy. Bradley even hints that Floyd may have already handled some of those financial issues using the upfront money, which completely changes the narrative. Suddenly, it no longer looks like desperation, it looks like maneuvering. At the same time, the outside pressure is not disappearing. The IRS, contracts, and business partners are all watching closely. So now, the question is not just what Floyd wants to do, but whether he can actually bend everything around him to match that plan. And knowing Floyd, you still cannot rule it out.
I just know that money he received, I'm pretty out, man, damn it, I don't know for sure, but damn it, I'm probably about, I know I'm 85, 90% because I don't think he'll be doing this. This is business. So he's just saying, I understand it was a real fight, but now I want to change it. I want to change it now. I got my advancement. Now I want to change.
And just when Bradley is over there breaking everything down like a business seminar, Shane Mosley comes in with a completely different kind of energy. No talk about contracts or percentages, just pure fight reality. And it hits differently because this is a man who has actually shared the ring with both of them. Mosley is not making some loud or dramatic prediction. In fact, he almost sounds hesitant, like he knows too much to speak with complete confidence, and that is exactly what makes his perspective feel real. He openly admits that Floyd is no longer the same physically, maybe a step slower and perhaps easier to hit now. Instantly, that makes you think Manny might finally have an opening. But then Mosley flips the conversation again, bringing up Pacquiao's own possible issues, training complications, and overall wear and tear. Suddenly, the narrative changes. Now it feels less about who is the better fighter and more about who is less worn down at this stage of their career. I also like how Mosley breaks down their styles again, almost reminding everyone why this matchup was always so complicated in the first place.
Floyd's not the same Floyd that he was back in the day. So, you know, maybe he's a little bit older and he's not moving as much. And you know that when you get a little bit older, sometimes you don't have the same foot movements, stuff like that, and you're able to get hit with a chance to get in there and do some stuff. But Manny also had some, seemed like some complications with, I don't know if he had some kind of a stroke or something in the sparring and stuff like that. I thought I seen. So, I mean, there's stuff going on with him. You know.
Manny brings volume, chaos, and relentless pressure. But Floyd is the kind of fighter who solves problems in the middle of a fight like he is doing math in real time. When Mosley says Floyd was the more difficult fighter, while Manny was the harder puncher, that one line explains everything. One fighter breaks you down mentally, the other tries to overwhelm you physically. Then Mosley casually brings up the moment when he hurt Floyd, and you can still feel the frustration in it, almost like he is thinking, if only I had my legs that night. That is the thing about Mayweather. You might get one opening, one perfect moment, and if you fail to capitalize on it, the opportunity disappears forever. Now apply that reality to today. Older versions of both fighters, slower reactions, and far less room for mistakes. Suddenly, this rematch no longer feels like unfinished business. It feels like an entirely different fight carrying familiar names. And that is what makes it so complicated, because people keep focusing on who they used to be, while the real question is about who they still are now.
The harder puncher was Manny Pacquiao, but the most difficult was Mayweather.
Okay.
As far as, you know, his IQ. He had a better IQ, but Manny had a harder work, you know, repetition where he'll come at you, he's working hard, he's trying to get you. Whereas Mayweather's more technical. And we'll sit there and pick you apart.
Just when Mosley is breaking the entire situation down like a business playbook, Manny Pacquiao enters the conversation with the calmest delivery imaginable, and somehow it hits even harder because there is no hype behind it. No noise, no theatrics, just quiet confidence. Manny begins by talking about humility, discipline, and faith, making it seem like the conversation is going to remain reflective and respectful. Then suddenly, he shifts directly into the real issue, essentially saying, "We signed for a real fight." He received his advance. So what exactly are we discussing? And I'm sitting there thinking that might be the cleanest form of pressure possible. No insults, no dramatic outbursts, just facts repeated until they become uncomfortable. While everyone else debates different possibilities, Manny speaks as if the situation is already settled, almost like there is no version of reality where this becomes an exhibition without it looking like a step backward.
If you ask me, as a boxer, I don't need somebody to push me to work hard, work more, but I did. I have to do extra mile to get that.
No excuses, no confusion, just a straight and direct message. And that is what makes it dangerous, because it is hard to argue with someone who is not emotionally invested in the debate. At the same time, Manny is talking about pushing himself through training camp, doing more than 30 rounds a day and preparing as if this is a real war, not just a showcase. That contrast alone speaks volumes without him ever needing to raise his voice. On one side, there are adjustments, negotiations, and possible pivots. On the other side, there is a man simply saying, "I'm training for a real fight, period." And that is where the situation starts to shift, because now it is no longer just about contracts or money. It becomes about who is truly committed to the version of the fight that was originally promised. And Manny is making it very clear that, mentally and physically, he is already there.
Purpose of exhibition that was long time ago, year after our first fight, but I didn't agree. And then I wanted a real fight, so he signed what I signed, and I signed a real fight, and he got his advance. So reason to make excuses of that. So that's
When you take all of this together, it no longer feels like a single storyline. It feels like layers stacking on top of each other until it becomes impossible to ignore what is really happening underneath. On one side, there is the financial pressure, the IRS situation, the contracts, and the business issues closing in from every direction. All of it raises serious questions about what may be happening behind the scenes. Then Bradley steps in and completely flips the perspective, making you wonder, what if this is not chaos at all? What if it is calculated? What if Floyd is still playing the same chess game he has always played, just at a different stage of his life? And just when you start leaning toward that idea, Mosley brings everything back to reality, reminding everyone that no matter how smart the business moves are, the body still has limits. Timing changes, reactions slow down, and this version of Floyd is not the same fighter who built that untouchable aura years ago. Then Manny enters the conversation calm and composed, not even trying to control the narrative, simply stating facts as if they do not need defending. That is when the situation becomes even more uncomfortable, because now it is no longer about who is right or wrong. It becomes about who is actually standing on the agreement they originally made.
I'll look forward to it. I mean, he signed a real fight, and he got his advance. So then now excuses no.
You have business versus obligation, strategy versus expectation, and legacy versus reality all colliding at the same time. Floyd may still be trying to control the situation the way he always has, adjusting terms, protecting himself, and making sure everything works in his favor. But the difference now is that there are too many moving parts, too many people involved, and far too much attention focused on every move being made. This is no longer just about a fight. It has become a situation where every decision carries legal, financial, and public consequences. And while Floyd built his entire career on staying one step ahead of everyone else, this could be one of those rare moments where the pressure is not coming from a single opponent, but from every direction at once. So now, the real question is not simply whether the fight happens. It is about which version of Floyd we are actually seeing. Is this still the master strategist controlling the board behind the scenes, or is this the moment where things are beginning to slip just enough for people to finally notice? Meanwhile, on the other side, Manny remains steady, prepared, and completely locked in without changing his position at all. That contrast only makes the situation sharper, because one side continues to adjust, while the other side stands firm.
I'm doing exhibitions, and I'm making 20, 25 million, 100 million for exhibitions. So why would I come back and fight and get a guaranteed 35 million